What's up, everybody? Alex here. Welcome back to the podcast. When I was 17, my parents gave me my dad's 1997 Chevy Silverado. This truck was almost completely made out of steel, and they thought if Alex is driving and someone hits him or he hits something or someone, he has a higher chance of walking away because of how tough and strong this truck is. And they were right. I got into a wreck and I was able to walk away. I even went to school that day. What happened? This gift was a gift to protect me. It was a gift to help me flourish, to help me get to school, to help me get to football practice safely, that I might live an abundant high school life. But I trashed the gift. I didn't honor the gift. I did donuts. I raced my friends. I drove without a seatbelt. I didn't honor this gift that they gave me. God's law is a lot like that. Question number 8 of the Catechism, which we're doing this 52-week study through the Catechism. This one is by City Catechism by Crossway. I'm not in partnership with them, but I just like it. Me and my family do it together. And question number 8 is, what is the law of God stated in the 10 Commandments? Now, this law that God gave to Moses, gave to the people, was a gift. It was a transportation, if you will, to get them from Egypt to the Promised Land, to get them from point A to point B safely, so they could flourish on their way, so they could grow, experience the abundance of life that we have when we walk in communion with God. It was a gift, but they saw it as something to be broken. They saw it as, I'm going to do what I want. In our rebellion, we take God's law and we trash it. Now, what even is God's law, and can we obey it? And what does it even mean? Can we even memorize it? Like, can we keep it in our heart? We're going to answer all those questions today. Exodus chapter 20, verse 3 starts off with the 10 Commandments. You shall that was last week. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make an idol for yourself. You shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God. Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. Honor your father and your mother. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not give false testimony. You shall not covet. Now, I summarized it, and what's going on here is there's 10. The first 4 have to do with our relationship with God, right? Have no other gods before me. Don't make an idol for yourself. Don't misuse the name of the Lord. Remember the Sabbath. Keep it holy. We know what all those mean. You know, sometimes we get hung up on Sabbath, like, should we keep doing Sabbath? Well, Sabbath was just one day out of the week that they would rest, that they wouldn't work. Now, with the new covenant that we're under, because this is the covenant of works, this is the covenant of law, now our Sabbath looks different. Now, because we've already entered into God's rest, because we don't have to work for his salvation, because Jesus did the work for us, now we mix Sabbath in a little bit every day. Now we worship on Sundays instead of Saturdays, because that was the day that Jesus rose. And so you can, of course, have one day of the week that you rest from work. I think that's good practice, but you should also, knowing that you've entered into God's rest already, mix a little Sabbath into your day every day. Now those first 4 just have to do with our relationship with God. The bottom 6 have to do with our relationship with others, with our neighbors. Honor your father and your mother. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not give false testimony, which has to do with lying, which has to do with being deceitful, manipulative, and you shall not covet, which coveting is just like really wanting what someone else has. Like just wanting what they have so much so that you're ready to take it, coveting what others have. Now, last week we summed up these in 2 different ways, and Jesus actually is the one that sums them up. He elevates some of these laws in the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew chapter 5, 6, and 7. But in other times, he just sums it up by saying, love God, love your neighbor. That's what it comes down to. The first 4, loving God. The bottom 6, loving your neighbor. Now, how do we do these things? How do we walk by them? That is easier said than done. If you break even one of these commandments, you've broken them all. If you say, well, I've gone 20, 30 years by keeping all 10 commandments, but at year 31, you mess up one, you've now broken all of them. The point is, these laws show us how holy God is. These laws show us how to have an abundant life, how to have a life full of joy, a life with peace with God and peace with others, but we can't keep them on our own. So what Christ does is he comes down and he does it all for us. He takes the gift of God's law and he obeys it completely because he's perfect, because he is the Son of God. And he dies because the punishment that any king would give for breaking one of his decrees is death. And so he takes our death, and then he raises up from the dead 3 days later by the Spirit of God. What does all this mean? This means there's a new covenant. If you're not under the covenant of grace, meaning you don't trust in Jesus, you don't believe in Jesus, you're still under the covenant of works and law, meaning you have to obey all the laws of God perfectly in order for God to give you salvation, in order for you to have a relationship with God. If you're under the covenant of grace, now you say, Jesus did that for me. Even if I mess up, even if I slip up, I'm still good with God. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Now we can experience the gift. Now we can experience the joy that these laws aren't something that are just hanging over our head, just a monster, just like scaring us, lurking after us. Now they're a gift. Now it's something that we don't start each day saying, okay, how can I just, refuse and rebel against this law by trying to break it? How can I look at God's law as a gift? I look back to all those days driving to school recklessly, and I wasn't very happy. I was searching for happiness, but I was looking in the wrong places, and I was putting myself in danger. I was anxious, and I wonder if I would have just stopped all that and said, wow, this is a gift. I don't deserve this. If I'd lost the entitled attitude and say, well, this is a gift. Look at this. I would spend more time washing my truck, spend more time taking care of it. And I see like a lot of local boys on our island in Kauai where we live. Their first truck, they take such great care of it. I mean, in driving it, washing it, taking it home, and all of it is just such a joy to them. And there's a joy that they have that others don't when they don't, like me, treat their vehicle like a gift. And I wonder, can we be that way with God's law? Instead of saying, okay, this is just some, this law that's just hanging over my head that I just got to keep, and it just makes my life so much harder. Having a change of mind that says, okay, God, I'm under the covenant of grace. Now your law is a gift to show me where the abundance of life is, to get me safely flourishing from point A to point B. So I pray that that would just encourage you today, and that you would see God's law as leading you to freedom, not leading you to slavery. And yeah, I love you guys. Thanks for being here with us. And I'm excited for question number 9 next week. Make sure you're subscribed. Subscribe to us on Substack. I've been posting some little outlines of each episode on there. So if you just want to grow deeper, if you want to follow along, or even save these and come back to them and really grow in your knowledge of the Word of God, then you can do that. So follow us on Substack. And with that said, if you want to support this podcast, go to amenpodcast.com. And I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one.